Let's do. You gonna hit some dingers?
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. How are you gonna hit dingers? Who's your favorite hitter?
We're boys. Brad's almost 50. Parker's 10. He's an absolute sports fanatic, a math whiz, and he's a very intelligent human being. Probably has a photographic memory. His memory is something like I've never seen. Yeah, so I grew up in Montgomery. Shoaldice Park was there. All the ball diamonds were there. The swimming pool was there. The river was there. We spent hours and hours on the river skipping rocks. I mean, just up the hill was Market Mall. So there's a movie theater there. So really great memories. And then, 35 minutes west of the city, we were in the mountains. High school, my grandmother came back to live with us. There was a single garage in the front. And we converted that to an accessible suite for her. So she was in a wheelchair as well. Lost circulation, so lost portions of each leg. So she was needed a wheelchair. So the accessibility for her was a big deal. So she had a fully accessible suite for her, like wheelchair roll-in shower, the lower counters. So she was living her own life in her suite that was curated for her. Your son being diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, it was a somber moment. There's some great people and expertise here actually in the city. So a day after he was diagnosed, we met with a really bespoke, professional that could kind of help us with the rest of our journey.
That's a base hit. That's definitely.
I mean, a typical wheelchair is about 24 inches. So you want to have as much clearance as possible. When you're doing planning, like if there's an island, having as much space around the island as possible. Kind of no steps in the home within reason, or at least like the larger living area. So it was a really kind of a rudimentary kind of take on what we believed we needed at the time. But today, looking at that house long term, it's not the accessibility that we require. So we would have had to do something different if we were to hang on to the home. So I think there was, over a search of like 9 or 10 months, there was 2 properties that came up. Those are communities of 50 plus, 55 plus, right? So they're built out for empty nesters that are moving into, retirement homes or homes with more care, but nothing for a younger family. So I had multiple conversations with traditional builders in master planned communities, and nobody wanted to step outside of the cookie cutter approach of, there's 18 units in this complex, all 18 are going to look exactly the same. And I fully understood that from a business perspective. It made perfect sense to me. So I was stuck in a position of, I can't find anything. Nothing exists. If it does exist, it's not applicable for our situation, but we still have a requirement. So what do I do? That is the reality, is that whether it's difficult, time-consuming, stressful, risky, or other, we need a place to live for a longer period of time. And I like the opportunity of middle housing because we get to stay in the inner city. And then hopefully there's an opportunity, and I have faith, that there could be a cure or some real treatment for my little guy. So that property becomes his. And hopefully we can maybe do another one, but in the spirit of why we're doing it in the first place, for accessibility, because it doesn't exist. So for me, like, there's, we have a lot of passion for being able to do the first one, but if we do one, maybe we can do a second one, because there's other folks like us out there struggling with the same thing. I was incredibly relieved that there may be an opportunity for me to do this. Instead of me competing against some of these others that have been doing this for a long period of time, both in the land acquisition, the development, and then the build side, is that I actually may be able to do this on my own. De-risking it a bit, getting an approach that makes sense, and then getting bespoke around the accessibility requirements for my family. So I was incredibly relieved that there may be an opportunity for me to do this. It's pretty simple. It's a fairly open space, shy of 1,000 square feet. It's a garden suite, so we've got access in, wheelchair in or not. Accessibility to our single garage, maybe a little bit bigger just based on what our requirements look like. We're in the inner city where if we want to wheel down kind of together to go get a coffee, maybe some groceries, we can do that without having to fire up my car. And that's the vision. Like, it's pretty simple, but that in itself was inaccessible. And I believe it's more accessible today. So that's the perfect world for us. And that's what we're really hoping to be able to do. Having the coffee shop or the cafe, having a place that, we were going to go have dinner at. The school's very close as well too. Like having, our own ability to have all of those services and fun things all kind of in the same place. Like for me, that reminds me of how I grew up. If this helps others get over the hump in terms of trying to find the resource, or even just the tolerance to be able to do something like this, and not accepting that the current infrastructure, what's out there today, is all that you can do.